How are we doing today? My name is Tyler Knabley, host of Monday Night Player Profiler today. Yet last week we ranked the top starting running backs in the league. I think we did a top 15 list with some honorable mentions on there as well. We were ranking running backs. I thought we'd run it back with another rankings list, and this time we're going to rank some offensive play callers. I thought this was really interesting, kind of a list to break down because you can kind of look at it different ways. It's very, very subjective list. So I thought we might do it, run it back, rank some stuff. All comes up after this. All right, let's just dive right into the list, baby. Also, too, we probably should talk a little bit about. Let's go full screen for this real quick because we should talk about it real fast. We'll throw the overlay back on real quick. The Brandon Ayuk stuff that happened today. Maybe that's what we should have led the show off with and breaking down the list. But Brandon Ayuk looking like I never really thought that he was going to get traded. But after the stuff today, it just at what point is it? It's just. It feels like it's going to get to a point where he's just going to be gone. And maybe I'm reading into it too much. And, all the viral stuff, it's, I don't know. I don't really know. What would they even get for him? Could they get a first? Feels like they would probably have to, maybe a second. I don't know. There's teams, there's speculation of Washington, Pittsburgh, maybe Carolina. I saw something today that was like trade him to the Browns for Amari Cooper, San Francisco. They get a good wide receiver back. They don't really have to pay him, even because he's already getting paid kind of thing. So they don't have to pay him long term at least. And then Cleveland gets a young wide receiver that they can build their team around. So very interesting. All that getting broken down. It's really, really interesting. Jamie, what's going on, baby? How are we doing today? But yeah, Brandon Ayuk. Are there many spots he could go to where you would feel better about his current situation than if he went somewhere else? Would you feel better if he went to Pittsburgh? I wouldn't. I would actually feel tremendously worse. I think Ayuk would fall. Right now he's going at middle second round, somewhere in that area. I think he would fall to the fourth round. So I'm not really too fond of that. Cleveland, maybe that's probably better than Pittsburgh, but still not a fan. Carolina, they got some guys there now already too. There's a ton of teams where I don't know. Ayuk, for fantasy football purposes, if you're a Ayuk, maybe dynasty manager, redraft manager, have a big Ayuk bag, maybe in best ball, you probably don't want to see him get moved. If San Francisco is the only place that I think, at least among the teams that have been floated around, one of the only places that I think you'd be you're happy with him on San Francisco, not the other way around. So very interesting. We'll see. But let's now transition into the list. You saw a little sneak peek of it. So I'm going to break it down. I have it in a couple different sections. So we'll start with this section right here, our top 10 offensive play callers in the NFL. Now, you can make a lot of different, cases for number one. I just roll with Sean McVay. Yeah, maybe Andy Reid's got some Super Bowls. Andy Reid also has Patrick Mahomes, okay? But Sean McVay winning a Super Bowl, obviously it's with Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford isn't bad by any means, but it's just you plug anybody into this offense and they're just they just become a unbelievably good player. The Rams are always at the top, in scoring pretty much every year. O-line, no O-line, doesn't really matter. They were number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in scoring last year. They were around there in yards per game too. It looks like it's 7th in yards per game. And it's not like they had the craziest team ever. It was a good team. They have Stafford. Kupp missed pretty much half the year. Puka's there. Kyron Williams, who is Kyron Williams by himself, I don't think is not a top 10 running back in the NFL or anything. O-line is average at best. It's just McVay always, he just we talk about the McVay system, what KOC runs in Minnesota, Zachary Taylor in Cincinnati. That's why we're so hyped about this Falcons offense this year, because it's another McVay disciple. It's just the McVay system is the golden standard, and the Shanahan system is the gold standard. I went with Andy Reid at 2. I mean, he's just been doing it forever. He's been with the Eagles, he's been with the Chiefs, even before Patrick Mahomes got to KC. He was doing this with Andy Reid. Maybe they didn't have the same postseason success, because remember for a while there, Andy Reid was considered a choker. Like he was kind of like the Doc Rivers of the NFL in terms of, getting to the playoffs, having teams you were excited about, but never really doing anything with it. But you get Mahomes, and like this is like the best version of any offense we've ever seen. Like even last year, where they kind of had to win in a different way last year. They couldn't rely on passing down the field. Tyreek wasn't there. They didn't have the same production they got from Kelsey in years past. Same thing with Juju. Like they really had to figure it out. And I mean, they won the Super Bowl. They put up a ton of points in the process. So I just think Andy Reid is deserving. Definitely top 3 on this list. I think the top 3 is probably these guys. I don't really know how you could. You could maybe argue for somebody else, but I think it's these are the top 3 in my opinion, and it's just whatever order you want to put them in. Then we have Shanahan at 3. He's like the only one on here, like in the top 3 who doesn't have a Super Bowl. Kind of why I knocked him down a little bit. Regular season Shanahan, unbelievable, but he's got a lot of postseason, kind of shortcomings in terms of blowing leads and just he like happened against the Chiefs in the first Super Bowl, happened in the Falcons Patriots Super Bowl. Same thing happened in last Super Bowl. Like he just can't. It just doesn't seem to ever work out for him in terms of playoff success. So I put him at 3. I think I like this is again top 3. It's still really good, but they're just I'm picking nits here between these top 3 guys. Now we move on to number 4, Mike McDaniel with the Dolphins. Yes, he doesn't have really any postseason success. They haven't won a playoff game. What it was like 25 years, something like that. But look at how we were talking about Tua before Mike McDaniel got there. Like Mike McDaniel, whatever Tua gets paid this year, in terms of a contract extension, Tua should give half of that to Mike McDaniel because he literally saved his career. Mike McDaniel, because all he has to do is just pretty much just hit the open guy, throw the ball deep to Tyreek. Like he has a very easy job. That's why I think I think the Miami offense is kind of capped with Tua at quarterback. I really have a hard time seeing Tua ever winning a Super Bowl as the quarterback of a team that's like it would have to be an unbelievable roster for them to win the Super Bowl. I think like it's a very low chance that Tua can they could win the. I don't think they can win the Super Bowl because Tua carried them there. They might be able to win the Super Bowl because Tua was like in a game manager role. But I love Mike McDaniel. I think he's a great play caller, great young mind. Comes from the Shanahan tree. I just think he's a really, really good play caller. So he's at number 4 on my list. And this top 10 was kind of hard to put together, to be honest. I have Ben Johnson at 5. We saw what he did with the Lions last year. Could have got a head coaching job, kind of opted to stay in the current situation. He didn't really want to force anything with the teams he was looking at. I mean, the Lions were what? Number 3 in yards per game last year. They were number 5 in points per game with Goff at the helm. Goff's a fine quarterback, but he's not a top 5 quarterback. And, it's just – and then that offense is also just really good too. But we've seen – like Detroit was literally 2 quarters of football away from going to a Super Bowl. Like literally like a quarter and a half. And I don't really think it's because of the Lions offense. That's not why they failed in the end. So I really like Ben Johnson. He's going to be one of these, like we could be talking about like the Ben Johnson tree after he gets a head coaching job and like the disciples that leave. We could the Ben Johnson tree, because right now we have the McVay tree, we have the Shanahan tree, and now it's like there's not really like an Andy Reid tree. Like Nagy didn't do anything in Chicago. Like they're really like Bieniemy hasn't done anything either. So it's like it's weird that there's no Andy Reid tree, but there could very well be a Ben Johnson tree, or like even like a Slowick tree maybe down the line too, because he does some different stuff in terms of his bunch sets and kind of attacking all areas of the field. But let's talk about Matt LaFleur, number 6. He's just been doing it forever too. Like he's been the play caller, head coach for since he got there in like 2017, 2018. I forget exactly when LaFleur got there, but Packers, I mean, he's doing it with different quarterbacks at this stage. It's really impressive. He did it with Rodgers. He's done it with Love last year. And it's not like that they were riddled, like they had a ton of weapons or anything. They had Jaden Reed, who's a fine player. Christian Watson barely played last year. You got, Dontavian Wicks. You got Dubs. You got like kind of probably past his prime Aaron Jones. It's not like they had any crazy like superstar type players on the team, but yet they figure it out. They find a way. They almost actually got to the NFC championship against the Niners in that one game. But yeah, LaFleur, number 6, really, he comes from the McVay tree. So you know what I mean? It's like I should have really done like a family tree type of thing for this, but yeah. So LaFleur, number 6, and then KOC at number 7, guys. I think KOC is a really good play caller. I don't know. I live in Minnesota. I'm not a Falcons fan, so I wouldn't say this is a biased a biased selection, but KOC comes from the McVay tree, and he loves to throw the ball. He loves to pass the ball. I love Kevin O'Connell for his fantasy offense. Any piece you want to have in Minnesota is like a good for fantasy because they're going to get the ball. He's really good at getting the ball to his best players. I think KOC is a really good play caller. Like you look at like Kirk was having the best seasons of his career under KOC. I don't think that's a fluke. Like because he had Jefferson for some different years where KOC wasn't the head coach yet. Kirk's played in with some other really really good teams, but Kirk was having like that. The offense overall was having some of their best years under KOC's play calling. So I really, really like KOC at number 7. I think he's definitely deserving of this ranking. You can make maybe make an argue with Slowick. That might be the only other guy I think you could have a conversation with. But really like KOC. Anthony's saying we'll be interested to see O'Connell play calling in 24 with either quarterback. 100%. This is kind of like the heat check for O'Connell, where it's like, can he do it with Darnold? Can he do it with lesser quarterback play? So we'll have to see. KOC number 7. We have Bobby Slowick at number 8. First time play caller last year in Houston. Almost got a head coaching job too. Like he went from literally first time play caller to almost head coach. So he doesn't go anywhere. Goes back to the Texans. I mean, he's probably definitely. I wonder how much of it is Stroud and how much of it is Slowick. It's probably a good healthy mix of both. Like it's Slowick's offense, and he's kind of like he does things a little bit different. I mentioned it a little earlier where he runs a lot of condensed sets where it's like normally you have like the X all the way near the sideline. You have the F on the other, like a spread offense type of thing, right? He doesn't do that. It's a lot of bunch. It's a lot of, close condensed sets where they'll start they'll start really close to, the end of the line person, whether that's a tight end, whether that's a tackle, like that's where the receivers will start a lot of the time. And he'll attack space from there where it's like, you have to cover the entire field where like if you're playing zone and you're in spread, you already have a guy on the sideline because your receiver's out there. But it's not like he's kind of a pioneer in terms, not a pioneer, but like he is kind of making that popular where like you really do have to attack all sides, defend all sides of the field when you're going up against the Slowick offense. So I really like Bobby Slowick. Definitely proved that he was a great play caller last year. So this 8 spot, definitely a good spot for him. Dave Canale is number 9, guys. I've talked about it time and time again on my channel at PPR Teller on YouTube. And funny enough, too, while we're on the topic, we are streaming on this channel. So we're going to be doing, my channel, Best Ball Barbecue, where we stream drafts every single day. That's at PPR Teller, but the show name is Best Ball Barbecue. Once a week from now on, we are going to be streaming Best Ball Barbecue on this channel on Player Profiler News. And actually at 6:30 is when we are going to be streaming on this channel. So I'll be streaming to my channel and I'll be streaming to this channel. So you can watch it on either one. Make sure you're subbed to both of them though, because and make sure you tap the bell. Never miss time when we go live. You can take my money, get in our lobbies. It's a absolute blast. So if you're watching this after the fact, go back and watch it. Maybe you're watching it, after the NBA Finals, which starts in about 45 minutes here. So yeah, 6:30 Central. That's a good clarification, Anthony. 6:30 Central in about 15 minutes. So make sure you go tune into that when that goes live. Or if you're watching after the fact, just click back out and go watch it. So that's going to be fun. Super, super happy and grateful that I get to stream to a player profiler type channel. So that's literally awesome. And then I also, too, Player Profiler News Primetime. I believe that's the name of the show. That also is dropping, too. So a lot of big things happen on this channel, too. I'm really, really excited about it. I'm just happy I get to be a part of it. So let's continue on with the ranking. We have Dave Canale at number 9. And you just look at what he did in Seattle. He wasn't the play caller in Seattle, but Geno Smith had the best season of his career when Dave Canale was there. Russell Wilson, too. Then he goes to Tampa Bay, calls plays for the first time, and literally gets Baker a multi-million-dollar, like tens of millions of dollar contract extension because Dave Canale saved his career. Really good season. Like people don't remember this time last offseason, there was a legitimate talk that the Buccaneers would be tanking for Caleb Williams. And not only did they make the playoffs, but they won a playoff game. And they were like in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes this time last year. That's how good Dave Canale is and how he turned around that Buccaneers franchise. Now he finds himself as the head coach in Carolina, going to be the head coach play caller there for the Panthers. So that's going to be really, really exciting. I'm super excited to see what comes from that this year. I'm obviously really high on all the Panthers players. Love drafting Bryce Young, Jonathan Brooks, Xavier Legette, all those guys. So I love Dave Canales. I think he's deserving to be on this top 10. Then the last one, coming in at 10, Shane Steichen. You look what he did last year with less. Like, Anthony Richardson goes out a couple of games into the season, has to go with Gardner Minshew. JT didn't come back till midseason. It was just a revolving door of just different weapons. Pittman's there, yeah, you have downs, but like outside of that, it's not like they didn't have a superstar offense or anything. Their defense was awful. And like, here's some of the teams that the Colts, in terms of points per game, the Colts were higher in points per game than teams like the Packers, the Texans, the Jags, the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Seahawks, the Bucks, the Chargers, the Vikings. Like, they were a really good sneaky offense last year. And that's because of Shane Steichen. And I think it's even more apparent that how good of an OC is and how good of a play caller he is when you look at how bad Philly was on offense when Steichen was gone. Like, they really missed Shane Steichen. So I think he's just a really, really good play caller, head coach. I'm a huge Shane Steichen fan. I'm really excited to see what we get from Anthony Richardson this season. So that's our top 10. We're going to move on to the rest of the list after we hear a word from the Podfather about the Breakout Finder.
Oh, hey, it's Mr. Breakout Finder coming at you. The Breakout Finder features 3 key tools: a database of metrics that include speed score, college dominator, breakout age, but also Breakout Finder only stats like dynamic score, level of competition, teammate score. All of these things are part of the overall Breakout Finder algorithm that pinpoints the probability that a player will break out. Everyone's talking about my model does this and my model does that. Well, we give you the data points that go into the model. We have a feature that lets you compare players, and then we give you the precise probability of every wide receiver, every running back, sorted and filterable by class year. So when I'm talking to my friends and I need to show them why I'm so bullish on player X, I pull out the Breakout Finder and bam, there he is. So go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's $5 to get the Breakout Finder, and then a couple extra bucks to get some of these additional enhanced stats. Go download it and thank me later.
There we go. I'm definitely be using the Breakout Finder. I wish we had a play caller head coach Breakout Finder so I can know if one of these guys down here that I have at the bottom who haven't been play callers before, if they're going to break out or not. So I'll have to talk to them. Set up a Google Meet, get that on the calendar, see if we can iron out the details for that. But let's continue on with the rest of our list, going from 11 to 20. I got Stefanski, some down years, but he's been dealt a really bad hand in terms of injury luck. Chubb goes down in week 2 last season. Deshaun Watson injuries left and right. What he did with Joe Flacco, it's kind of toward the end there, is kind of why I have him so high on this list. I think Stefanski's a really good play caller. He was a good play caller in Minnesota, gets the Browns job. Just really bad luck for this team in terms of injuries, especially on the offensive side of the football. Kind of one of those guys who seemed to done more with less and, battle through adversity when your star quarterback, who you're paying a fully guaranteed contract, highest NFL contract of all time, goes down pretty much 2 straight years. So Stefanski at 11, completely deserving on this list. Now, this might be a hot take, but Mike McCarthy at 12. Now, I kind of want to go back to last offseason again, where when Kellen Moore was pretty much fired, he was pretty much let go from Dallas, and then he goes to the Chargers. Everyone was calling McCarthy an idiot. Everyone was calling McCarthy an idiot, saying, why would you get rid of him? Like, you suck as a play caller. Like, I'm going to take over the play. You know what I mean? Like, he was kind of getting put through the ringer there. Well, what he did last year, Dallas was number 1 in points per game. Number 1 in points per game. And it's not like they had a crazy good offense either. Like, Pollard wasn't himself last year. The O-line was good, but, you outside of CD, Dak, maybe Ferg, like, it's not like they had a stud wide receiver too, or, an absolute stud running back. Like, the Cowboys were unbelievable last year. And I think a lot of that is due to Mike McCarthy. Like, he really kind of showed that he still is a good play caller in this league. I mean, just going off last year's results, the playoffs didn't work out too well, but I mean, this far down the list, I think you can none of these guys really have that good of playoff success anyway. So I like McCarthy, number 12. I think he's going to be really good again this year. CD to the moon. Dak, we'll see who he's playing for in 2025. Still no contract, but like McCarthy, number 12. Number 13, we got Todd Monken, first year in the NFL as a play caller last year. He might have been before that, but recently, obviously, he was with the Georgia Bulldogs before. Now he's with the Ravens. MVP season for Lamar. They get to the AFC Championship, but it's not like they got carried by their offense or anything. Like the defense was kind of the calling card for that Ravens team. So I have him at 13. I feel like it might be even a little bit too high, but Lamar was the MVP of the league. They did have a pretty good offense last year. Andrews, Flowers, like they all ate. Even Gus Edwards had like 13 touchdowns last year. So I like Todd Monken. Put him at 13. Feels like a fair spot. Brian Callahan for the Titans was the OC play caller for the Bengals for a couple of years there in Cincinnati. We kind of know what Cincinnati's offense looks like when they're fully healthy, when Burrow is there. Even Browning has a couple of good games too. So I do like Callahan. I think he's going to be absolutely awesome for the Titans this year as their head coach and play caller. Now, this is a bit of a controversial one, I feel like. Drew Penzig from the Cardinals, first-time play caller last year coming out. He was with the Browns the year before. I think he was the quarterback's coach or passing game coordinator. I can't exactly remember what his title was with the Browns, but last year with the Cardinals, like, again, another team that was like projected to finish like at the very, very bottom, like number 1 pick overall type stuff. Yeah, they were number 3, so it's not like their offense looked a lot better than I think a lot of people would have expected. Like they were ahead of like, what were they 32, 31. They were 26 in the league, in points per game, yards per game. They actually might have been a little bit better, but they're rolling with, they're a lot better and like about middle of the pack in terms of yards per game with an offense that had Josh Dobbs for most of the season. Then they go to Kyler when he comes back, but he's coming off an ACL. They don't really have any weapons. They have Hollywood Brown and like Greg Dortch, and Trey McBride. That's pretty much it. You got Connor, whoever else is coming after that. Just a mess. But like I feel like considering what they did last year, I think Drew Penzig kind of deserves to be on the top half of this list. I expect big things from Arizona this year. I think Drew Penzig might be a household name in terms of NFL circles, NFL Twitter by this season's end. That's how confident I feel about Drew Penzig with the call and plays for Arizona. Number 16, we got Joe Brady. Took over the play calling duties in Buffalo over the second half of last year. We saw a lot of different offense. James Cook heavily involved. Stephon Diggs, like almost like kind of not phased out, but like definitely wasn't getting targeted like he used to when Ken Dorsey was the play caller. But Joe Brady, we've seen him before call plays before he was with Buffalo. We've seen it with the Panthers when they had Teddy Bridgewater. And it was that crazy, one of those good CMCs. He actually was the Mike Davis season, Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore. Like we've seen Joe Brady be a really good play caller before. So I'm expecting big things from him and the Bills this year, a full offseason to kind of, implement his offense if he's going to change anything, as like he's going to go into the season as the play caller, not like, stepping up halfway through. So I really like that. I think the Bills could be a good team this year. And Sean Payton was a tough one. Bad year last year. Bad year last year with the Broncos. But I don't know. They don't have that much talent. I don't even know if Sean Payton is like I feel like he's lost his fastball a little bit. Put him at 17. Yeah, he's got a couple of Super Bowls with different teams, like as a coordinator. But I don't know. I put him at 17. The rest of this list is kind of bad anyway. So 17, fine spot for Payton. Now Kellen Moore was supposed to be like I think Kellen Moore was like supposed to be like one of these guys up here. He was supposed to be like the McVay, the Shanahan, the McDaniel. We just haven't seen that from him. We've seen some decent season with the Cowboys, was with the Chargers last year. Even when Herbert was healthy, that offense didn't look good whatsoever. Now he finds himself in Philly, so he can kind of maybe turn it around in the NFC East. Maybe the NFC East is just his home, He just thrives in the NFC East, but not feeling great about it. We'll have to see what happens to Kellen Moore this season. Kind of a wait and see. Greg Roman, I think he's a better NFL play caller than he is in terms for fantasy, I think, too. He, obviously really, really well known for running the ball. That's why Harbaugh picked him. He's fine. He's, in this middle tier, Roman's fine. And I got Cliff Kingsbury with the Commies coming back. When he was in Arizona calling plays, like he was like, it was very talent driven. Like he wasn't really scheming guys open. It was kind of like always like rely on D-Hop, rely on Kyler, rely on the running game. So I'll be interested to see what he does in Washington. We were said about Bieniemy last year. That didn't really turn out too well. So we'll see with Kingsbury coming back. I wonder if he ever gets another head coaching job, but he's still been around the game. He was with Caleb last year in USC. So we'll have to see how everything goes for Kingsbury. All right, let's power through the rest of this list. So basically I have the haven't called plays list yet, and then I have the rest of it. Dable, Arthur Smith, Press Taylor is kind of like the one I want to talk about a little bit, where Press Taylor, like the Jags have been so bad the past couple of years. Not so bad, but like they have too much talent to be as bad in some of the categories as they finished. Like last year in yards per game, Jacksonville, they were kind of, just outside the top 10, but points per game, different story, kind of more that middle of the pack. Like look at the team, look at the quarterback. O-line's been better, a ton of weapons everywhere. I'm not really feeling Press Taylor. If they had another bad year this year, like he's got to be out of there. Doug Peterson might be out of there too if they have another bad year. Arthur Smith, I mean, we kind of know the gist on him. I'm surprised. I feel like I almost want to put him lower, but this 22 is a fine spot for him. I think we haven't seen him be good without Derrick Henry. That's pretty much it. Khalid Kubiak of the Saints. Don't think he used a play caller in Minnesota, got himself fired. So he kind of at the bottom. Hackett, obvious reasons. We'll see what it looks like with Rodgers. Maybe it looks a little bit better, but I'm not holding my breath on that either. It looks bad the 2 years he has been the play caller. So we'll see. Waldron, the play caller for Seattle last year, now is with the Bears. Just see how he ruined everything that had gone on there recently. The year before when Geno was going off, Waldron maybe it was more Pete Carroll. I don't really know, but we'll see how Waldron comes to fruition here. Then Luke Getsy, Bears OC last year, awful. I cannot get the image of the two back-to-back exact same screenplays out of my head from like week 2 last year. One of them was a pick 6. Yeah, don't like Luke Getsy whatsoever. I don't know. I don't think he's a good play caller at all. We'll see how the Raiders do. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. But then I have the haven't called plays, guys. This is more, and at least in the NFL, haven't called plays, right? I ranked them in terms of who I think is going to be the best out of the chosen ones. I think Ryan Grubb will have a really good season. Then Robinson, Dan Pitcher, I've never even heard of. So we'll see how he does with the Bengals this year. Liam Cohen was the play offensive coordinator for Kentucky last year. So coming over to the Buccaneers, and then Alex Van Pelt, we'll see with him too. That's going to conclude my list. Harry Snowman, I see you. I'll show you the top of the list real quick. Top of the list is McVay, is right here. McVay, Reed, Shanahan, McDaniel, Ben Johnson, LaFleur, KOC, Slowick, Canales, and Shane Steichen. So again, we are out of here right now. Again, in 3 minutes, we're going to be live again on this channel, but it's going to be Best Ball Barbecue. We're going to be drafting a Best Ball Mania 5 team. It is Best Ball Mania Monday for Best Ball Barbecue. You can watch that either on this channel, Player Profiler News, or you can go over to PPR Tyler and watch it there. You should be subscribed, obviously, in both places. But we'll see you in just 2 short minutes. We're going to get that going. And if you're just watching in, you're just here for the news, you're here for the rankings. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next week on Monday night. I'm Tyler. We'll see you later.